Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're going to be playing Whispering Dots. Now, we've played Shifter Dots before, kind of another new series from gUBBLOR, which sort of play on the equality cages rule set. And I found them, if I'm honest, first time round, quite difficult to play, because there's just so many options, and every step you're making a change, and it's never quite clear what the change is. But before we get on to the rule sets, let's just briefly talk about this thumbnail, and apologize for the reference. I hope none of your family members are struggling with addiction. But the actual puzzle is essentially a reference. It's a German set of words referring to whispering dots or whispered dots. So trying to come up with something that kind of means that was a bit of a stretch. So the wordplay here on dots being shots, and sleuth is essentially investigating, like an undercover operation to get drugs into the hands of abusers and whatnot. And here he is in the back of a pharmacy just finding tons of used injections, and I guess sniffing through the trail. Well, hopefully none of that is going to ring any bells for anybody. And you can see, well, I say you can see, it's actually, I've got kind of my camera there covering the grid. So let's take a look at the grids and the rule set. And there's dots all over the place for sure. Right, Shifter Dots 102. I don't think I'm going to try and pronounce that. Pardon me, German regulars. Whispering Dots by gUBBLOR. So, rule sets wise, we've got normal Sudoku rules applies. That means place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. Then we have shifter dots. So digits on different sides of a shifter dot must always share either the parity, even/odd, or polarity, high/low. Never neither, never both. And shifter dots can never have 5 on it. So let me explain what that kind of means. So essentially, if you're familiar with equality cages where you've got 1 and 3, 2 and 4, 6 and 8, 7 and 9. And in essence, across the dots, you need to have, if one of them is a 1, 3, you're either sharing kind of the next cell would be 2, 4, because you're sharing the same parity but not polarity. Sorry, polarity but not parity. Or the other side is a 7, 9, because you're sharing the same parity, you're both odd, but not the same polarity. This is high, this is low. What you cannot do across a shifter dot is be the same. That doesn't work. And what you also cannot do is both change parity and polarity. Low, odd, high, even. Only one change is allowed. Shifter lines play very similarly, but as you can see, we're shifting around quite a lot, even in the same box. So this is going to be quite tricky in my view. Then we have Kropki dots. So a black dot between cells indicates cell values with a 2 to 1 ratio, and not all dots are shown. So if this cell here was a 2, this would have to be 1 or 4, so that essentially one of these cells is double the other. Not all dots being shown means that if this, for example, is a 4 and this is an 8, that's absolutely fine because there is no black dot between them. Doesn't mean anything. Not all dots are shown. Last but not least, we've got German whispers. So adjacent digits along each German whisper line must have a difference of at least 5. And digits may repeat on the line. Now, to give you an example of that, let's say that this cell here is a 2. The next cell along, which is adjacent to the line, must be 5 or more away. That would be 7, 8, or 9. If you imagine it was an 8, the next cell along to be 5 or more away would have to be 1, 2, or 3. I mean, we've already placed 2 in the row, so it wouldn't be a 2. And of course, you end up with this fantastic pattern of low digits, high digits, low digits. Low being 1, 2, 3, 4, high being 6, 7, 8, 9. Notice how I did not include a 5 in my list. Have a think about it, it'll be pretty obvious. Right, that's all the rules that we have for today. Plenty. Only thing left to say is, if you want to play along, I mean, this is a 2-star difficulty rated puzzle. It is a weekend, so this is going to be slightly harder than what was frankly quite a hard set of puzzles this week. Link will be in the description down below as usual for you to play along. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock, see how I get on. So it's almost like a classic sleuth move. You know I'm going to pencil mark 2 or 4 in here. And in fact, I know it's a 2. So a digit in under 10 seconds, we're off to a good start. Now, if I just briefly remove that. So the way to think about black Kropki dots is, there are essentially 3 sets. There is the power of 2 set, where it goes 1, 2, 4, 8. There's another set which is 3 and 6. And notice there's only 2 of them. Half of 3 would be 1.5. That doesn't work. Double of 6 would be 12. That doesn't work either. And then lastly, there's another set that can never be on a black Kropki dot. Whenever you have 3 cells that all have to be unique, you know that 3, 6 is out. You know that 5, 7 is out. 5, 7, and 9 are out. It's got to be 3 cells from 1, 2, or 4. And it's either 1, 2, 4 or 2, 4, 8, depending on where you start your run. Now, this is clearly going to be 2 or 4. But notice on the German whisper line, these are at least 5 or more away. If that was a 4, that would be a double 9, breaking Sudoku rules. So that's got to be a 2. That also means that these cells are high, and these 2 cells, because they're on a German whisper line, are low. So I actually know that this is 1 and 4. Whichever one is the 4 has a 9 next to it. Let me think about this for a second. Right, time to talk about shifter dots as well. So I drew this in the beginning, but I deliberately avoided talking about it. But if you've not seen this before, it's fantastic. The way to think about these groups, or at least shifter dots, shifter lines, equality cages, you can actually only use 2 colors to define this group. If I color 1 and 3, and actually just 1 and 3 for now as red, and I tell you that this cell here is red, well, you know that if it is 1 or 3, it's either 7 or 9 or 2 or 4, as I walked you through the examples earlier. But whatever it can't be is it can't be a 6, 8. So let's give these a blue color. That's blue. And if I make this red as well, you'll see that it actually is totally satisfactory. Essentially, whether this is 6, 8 or 1, 3, the answer is the blue one will either be 2, 4 or 7, 9. And you obviously need to change color when you're shifting across these shifter dots. You can't go from 1, 3 to 6, 8, and you can't stay as 1, 3. So that 2 colors will actually suffice. Now, keep that reference in mind, because I don't know if red and blue is a good idea, given I normally use that for low and high with German whispers, but I'm going to run with it. These will be blue, 2, 4, 7, 9. These will be red. This is blue. This is red, this is blue. So we've used from blue 2 and 4. This is now 7 or 9. I know it is not 7 or 9. I know it's exactly 7 because one of these 2 cells has to be a 9 next to the 4 on the German whisper line. So that's a 7. This now needs to be a red digit, which doesn't include a 9. So 9 is not here. That's the 9, that's the 4, that's the 1. And this is 3, 6, or 8. I don't seem to be able to refine that further. No, of course, it's a sleuth. It's an 8. It's still a German whisper line. These are 2 low digits. This is a high digit. Can't be a 6 next to a 2. It's an 8. Now, these I can't refine. They are 3, 5, or 6. This is not a 5, though, because 5s are never on shifter dots. That's part of the rule set. I am going to delete this reference for the moment. And I'm kind of already regretting my color choice, but I'm going to keep going anyway. Right, where do we go from here? We could actually just look at 5s more broadly. I'm just noticing in column 1, none of these are 5s. Well, I mean, the first 3 are not 5s. Shifter dots cannot be 5. German whisper lines can't be 5. That's the only place for a 5. Box 3 looks incredibly busy of cells that can't be 5. That's the only place for a 5. That's not a 5. That is a 5. 3, 6 is a pair is kind of helpful. We'll probably look at that in a second. 5s. No, hang on. 5s are not here. 5. No. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that is useful. So 5s are one of 2 cells. just Sudoku. No need to get fancy. Well, I mean, German Whisper kind of cell we can discount. What about in here? It's one of two cells. That doesn't look as helpful. We can just place a 5 in box 2 now, not the shifter dots, not the Sudoku, not the Sudoku, not the shifter dot. So it's the only place for a 5 in here. Let's keep this going. How far can we take it? Box 5, we can place a 5. That's not a 5. That is a 5. Are we going to go all the way is the question. 5s in box 9 can only be in one of these two cells. And then I end up selecting one of them. But essentially, just none of these, not the German Whisper line. None of these, not the German Whisper line. The 5s between box 8 and 9 are essentially lining up, which means this cell here cannot be a 5. That's the 5. Excellent. Right, coming up to 6 minutes. Where is our next breakthrough? We may as well actually carry on coloring. This is 3, 6, which is red. This is across a shifter dot, which is 2, 4, 7, or 9. I mean, I can tell you for free that is not a 4 because that would require a double 9. And it's not a 7, so it's in fact, it's quite limited. It's 2 or 9. If it's a 2, well, this can't be 6 and it can't be 8 or 9. This would have to be a 7. And if it's a 7, that's a 2. That would have to be a 1. Continuing with the 2, this would have to be a high digit, and it's not 7. It'll be 8 or 9. And then the digit in here, if this is a 9, 9 and 7, these are blues. We've got 2. This would have to be red. Let me try this again. Depending on what this is, it will be the opposite color. If it's 9, let's try. If it's 8, that's more interesting. As in red, this would have to be blue. And then 7 and 2 are both placed. This would have to be 4 or 9. Okay. And if it's 8, yeah, I don't know if I want to go and pencil mark this. This seems to be like a ridiculous number of options. Right, what if it's 9? Is it as restrictive? So we need a high digit on the other side. Can't be a 7, can't be a 9, and 6 would require a double 1, so that doesn't work. So that would be forced to be an 8. So in any scenario, this is red, and therefore this is blue. We'll come back to that. And if these are high with 8 and 9, clearly I can't have a 4, because I've got an 8 on here, but I could have 1, 2, or 3. Again, I'm sort of regretting all of these pencil marks. Easier stuff, easier stuff. Column 1, 3 lows. I need essentially at least 1 low in here. That's got to be in the middle. That's 3. That's the 8, 9. This is 6, 7, just to complete the column now. If this is high 8 and 9, this would have to be low. It's 1 or 2. Could be a 4 with a 9 and an 8 that way. I'll leave it as such. 6 and 7 here means that's not a 7, which means that's low, which means that's 9, that's 8. And unfortunately, that gives me 1, 2, or 3 in here. Let's think about this for a second. Can I eliminate anything? I don't know. 8 across in here would have to be 2 or 4 because 7 and 9 are gone. If it is a 4, I mean, 4 seems possible. That would have to be a 9. Yeah, I'm going to leave it as that for now. Can I do better? I feel like I should be able to do better. 7, for example, is not in here. That's a 7. Got 8, 9. We've got a third 1, 2, 4 and a definite 6. That gives me 3 and 6. Essentially, I have a 1, 2, 4, a 1, 2, 4, and a 6. What is this cell? It's 1, 2, or 4. Fascinating. Right, I'm clearly have to use the shifter dots. Let me just think about this. So if this is 1 or 3, if this is red, this is blue. And it would have to be 2 or 4, which is still, frankly, possible with, 4 in column 3. If that's 2, this would have to be red, and 3, 8, and 6 are all gone. It would have to be a 1. So the only thing that it isn't is a 3, which we kind of knew already. Sort of surprised I'm not able to force this a bit. Maybe I need to look elsewhere and come back to it. You know, so like box 3 is grabbing my attention. So I'm going to color it just to show you this, but essentially these are all low digits. The way to confirm that is just color it. Purple changes polarity, orange, back to purple, back to orange, back to purple. So the polarity of these 3 cells is the same. Look across to box 1, row 2, I already have 2 high digits. If I make these all high, I'm going to have 5 high digits, which is not possible between the digits 1 to 9. So a long way of saying these are low, and they are from 1, 3, and 4, and these are high, which will include a 9 and probably an 8. I think it does have to be an 8, 9. Even if I make this cell a 1, one of these cells is going to be 3, one of these is 4. So it doesn't matter. Now, because this is a shifter dot, essentially the 1, 3 would be the red cell, the other one would be the 4. So that is not a 4, which makes this not a 9, that's the 8. Ooh, hang on, I just spotted my mistake. Could be a 7, because I could have put a 1 in here with a 7 in there. And then, I mean, because it can't be a 6. No, but hang on, this would be back to 3. So no, it is forced. Sorry, that was silly of me. So 4 is definitely here, which means this is the 9. The 4 can't be in the middle because that would require a double 9. So that's the 1, 3, that's the 4. Right. This is a 2. Essentially, pardon me, let me just finish my pencil marks because we've done all the low digits, 1, 3, and 4. You need a low digit on this German whisper line. It can only be a 2. We've already used the high digits 8 and 9. It can only be a 2, 7. That's a 6. Ironically, they're both blue, so it doesn't actually help us resolve this. I'm not sure why this dot is there. Can I do anything else? Probably this is 1, 3, 8. These 2 cells are 6. No, 6? Yeah, it is a 6. It's just these are red digits, 1, 3, 6, and 8. So the 6 can't be here because it needs to be a blue digit. So that's the 9, that's the 6. This is now a blue digit, and it is 2, 4, and 7. Excellent. Where do we go next? I mean, I should think out loud. So temptations are, you know, column 6 with all of these dots, and obviously box 9 with all of these dots. I just don't know if they are useful yet, or if I should be looking elsewhere still. I'm kind of surprised I wasn't able to do more in here. I don't know why I am surprised. It just feels like I should be able to make progress. I just not seeing it for some reason. Yeah, I'll move on. Where do we go? Where do we go? I think we should probably have a think about what this is saying. Sorry, I'm having a moment just thinking through these. Is the 9 forced on here? I think the answer is no. I could put a 9 here, an 8 there, and I don't have to put a 4 there. Could be 1 or 2, it could be even a 1. So I'm not forced to do anything in here. And aside from the fact that these are 1, 2, 3, and 4, isn't helping. Sorry, I did say I'm going to move on and then didn't, but it feels intimidating without more digits on the grid, and I'm trying to put more digits on the grid. That's just what I'm trying to do. to be looking at this construction here. Right, I'm going to give it a go anyway. Yeah, it's actually easier than I thought. These are all red. They're from 1, 3, 6, and 8. Can't have two reds as such. We know that they shift from red to blue to red to blue. If they're both red, I'm going to use 1, 3 twice. So that isn't the case. That's a 1, 3. So that was way easier than I was expecting. That's blue and that's red. Now notice it's a red high digit because this is 1, 3. So this would have to be 6 or 8, which it can't be a 6. If that's a 6, that's a double 1, which we know it can't be. So that's an 8. And therefore this is 1, 2, or 3 to allow it to, well, actually 3, Sleuth, pay attention, 2, better, 1, that's 3, that's 1. Right, maybe it wasn't that intimidating after all. Now we need a blue digit that would allow me to go from 8 to 1. Now I think any of them would work, isn't it? The 8 gives me a 9 in here, which gives me an 8 there. So this would be 2, 4, or 7. In fact, I'm left with, hang on, let me just see this. I've got 1, 3, 6, 8. So it is, I am left with 2, 4, 7, 9. We'll come to that in a second. That's not a 9. That's not a 7. When I say we'll come to this in a second, I am looking at it right now. These are not 2s because of this 2. That's not a 9 either. So we've actually got quite a lot of pencil marks done suddenly for free. That can't be a 4 because that can't be a 9. If it is a 7, this would have to be a 2 because it can't be a 1. If it is a 2, well, this can't be a 9 or an 8. It would have to be a 7. So that's a 2, 7 pair. Looking at a 6, 7, another 7. This is not 2 or 7. That's another 4, 9. That's a 4, 9 pair. That is a 7. Lovely. Got a 2, 7 pair in this column. Not sure if that's useful yet. Let's maybe do a bit more pencil marking for now. What are these cells? Can't resolve the 4, 9, can I? No, I don't think so. And the 9 here leaves 4 still on the table, unfortunately. $18. Do I need to do a bit more coloring? Blues, reds, reds, blue. Just thinking about these shifter dots and these shifter dots next. Hang on. That's a 1, that's a 2. Right, let's use this shifter dot. Maybe I'm just not thinking about it enough. So if this is a 2, which is an option, this would have to be 1 or 3. It would have to be a 1. Can't be a 4. If this is a 1 or 3, this would have to be 2 or 4. So I've basically pencil marked it exactly the same again, haven't I? Move on, Sleuth, move on. Stop wasting your time. There's probably other easier things to spot. Usually when you get stuck, it is Sudoku that you should be looking at, and you're not looking at Sudoku, by the way. You should be. Interesting. There's nothing screaming at me, so I am going to just kind of approach various bits of the puzzles, kind of try and just create some deductions and just see where it takes me next. So where does it take me next? So low digits, I've got 3 of them. The 4th one is clearly on this German whisper line. And these 2 would have to be high. And they're not 7s. They are 8 and 9. Hang on. That does include a 6, surely. So that's not an 8. Can a 6 be on here? So it clearly can't be on this cell. But nothing stops me from having 6, 1, and then 7 or 8 in here. So the 6s can easily be on this. Doesn't have to be in here. What about this line? So I am going to do a bit of shenanigans in here, purple and orange. We know that the shifted lines are changing. Now, if purple is blue, we're done basically with blue in this column. Purple is red. Got 3 of each, and we have no clue what this is. Yeah, really not sure. Really not sure. So the way I'm sort of interpreting these ones is they're the same parity. Essentially, it's a German whisper line, so one is low, one is high, but they're across a shifter dot, so they basically need to change polarity, not parity. Right, what are the possibilities? So I can't do 4, 9. A 4 would require a 9, and they're on the same shifter dot group. I can do a 3 with a 9, and it would be very specifically in this direction because of this 3. I could do 2 and 8, and again because of that 2, the 2 would have to be here, and this would be the 8. Now the last option on the table would be a 1. I can't do it with a 6, but I can do it with a 7 or an 8. That's a bit of a challenge. Actually, I can't do the 1 on this side. I mean, aside from the 1 here, I've got 7, 8, and 9 all looking at this cell. So that's not the 1. If there is a 1, it's this side, and it'll be 7, 8, or 9, which gives me low, high. Doesn't quite help me with this. Because if it's 7, 9, this could be a 6, this could be a 1. There's so many options. There's something I'm missing, and I need to see it to progress. That's really the conclusion I keep coming to. High digits, 7, 8, and 9. Also no 9 in here. So essentially I'm left with 4, 6, and another high digit. That's kind of the things that I need to be placing. Very tricky. If you've seen it, I'm sure this is a little bit frustrating for you now, but I'm being clearly very honest here. I'm not exactly seeing it. I haven't really used that shifter dot. I think that is a bit of an issue. Just thinking about which clues I've not really used. This is fine. So there was no value to this one. These are fine. I'm going to do a bit of coloring just to double check that I've got all I can out of what's available on the grid. Right, maybe let's think about this for a second. If this is high, it's not 7, it's not 9, and it can't be a 6. That would have to be an 8. If this is, we'll come back to if it's low for a second. If it's high, with 2 and 4 are looking that way, this would have to be 1 or 3. This would make this red, this would make these blue. So I would have 4 blues. This dot would have to be red. And it's not 1 or 3, would have to be 6 or 8. But I've already placed the 8, so that would have to be a 6. That would have to be a 1. And across the shifter dot, that would have to be 7 or 9. So far, 8 looks pretty good. Now, if it's not 8 and it's low, what are my options? And it can't be a 4, because that would require a double 9. Can't be a 3, because 8, 9, I don't have the 9. If it is a 2, this could be 8, that works, and that could be 7, that still works. So 2 is available. 1, I'm going to guess, is available, because I could definitely do 1, then I end up with, you know, all of the 8s and 7s as options, but also 6s. Now 1 and 8 are both red. Here's something. No 4, no 4, no 4, no 4, no 4. Yeah, this is the only place for a 4. I'll take it. 4, 2, not 2. 4 means that's got to be 1, 3. That would be 1, 2, 3. Therefore, that's not 1. That's 4. This is 1, 6. I am going to trust my deductions, by the way. So that's 6. That's 1. That 6 removes the 6 as an option, removes the 1 as an option. That can't be an 8 anymore. So this is low. And these are high. And therefore, this is 6 or 8. And this is 6 or 7. It's not 8 or 9. Interesting. And I remember if it's low, it's 1 or 2. Can I do better? Surely I can do better. I mean, it'll be, hang on, if it's 1, these will be blue. 2, 4, 7, and 9 are gone. So sorry. I removed the 6, 1 prematurely, which I think was only there. Excuse me, excuse me. I mean, these are gone. That's true. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that's not an 8. Let me just think. If this is an 8, yes, these would both be blue. And then these are 4 blues, and this would have to be red. And it's not 1, 3, or 6. It would have to be another 8, breaking the 8. Right, so this is 1 or 2. Now I'm just thinking, no, I can actually have a 2. Sorry, I can have a 1. I could still have 4 blues with an 8. That is definitely a possibility. Now, if this is red with a 1 and 2, sorry, if this is 2 with a blue and this is 2 reds, 3 reds, so we know nothing about this one. It would have to be either 7, 8, 9 or a 4. And 7, 8, 9, 4 with a 9 here, that seems totally fine. The 1 and 3 are still gone, the 1 and 3 are still gone. So this is all still accurate. 2, 7 makes a 6, makes an 8, makes a 9, makes a 4, makes a 9. Just sleuth. Anyway, that forces this to be a 1, that's a 3, that's a 2. These are not 2s. Pardon me for not seeing this for so long. And this makes this red. These are now blues. That forces this to be an 8. That makes this not 8, that is 7, 9. Doesn't help me with my 1, 2, 3. And 8 in here means this is a low digit. It is 2 or 3. It's not 1. These are from 2, 4, 7. That is not a 4. In fact, that is a 4 because it's not 2 or 7. That's not a 4 either. That's a 2, 7 pair. These are, in fact, 1 and 8. That's a 3. This is 5, 6. In here, sorry, in this row, we need another 1, 3, which can only be in here because we've already placed it in box 5. And something to complete the row, which is an 8. That is not an 8. In fact, that is a 1 because it's not a 3 either. That's the 8. The 2 7s are resolved. That's a 7. That's a 2. That resolves this 2, 7. This has to be a 3 because, you know, there's a 1 in there. That's a 1, 3, 1. Are my 2 7s resolved? Not quite. What else do I need in here? I need 2, 7, and 9. Sleuth. This is, I did say they have to be the same parity. If this is odd, this is odd. 2 is off. Well, I mean, 2 is off anyway. They're both odd. 1 and 3, 7 and 9 are both on the table. Depending on whether, if this is 3, obviously this will be forced to be a 9. Let's see what else I can extract from this. What are these 2 digits? There's a 6 in here, which has to be down there because of this 6. That is a 4, I'm going to say. This is obviously not 8 anymore because we already placed the 8. This is 3, 6 to complete the column / box. Sorry, 5 I meant to say. Thank you. 6 looks at 5, looks at 6, looks at 5, looks at 3. 1 and 3 still not resolved. So this is another 1 or 3. 1 and 3 were resolved. However long ago that was, that's 9, that's 2, that's 1. That's therefore 7 and 6. 6, no, it's not 6. 4. This is not 2 or this is not 4 or 7. It's a 2. That gives me 7, 4, 2, and that means that's a 9. And if I've not made any mistakes, that's a 7 for the finish. 32-minute solve. It's a lovely puzzle, but a tough one. I mean, I'm glad I solved it, but I don't know. I feel like I missed something, and I still feel that way, by the way. So I'm sure that some of you who have spotted a quicker route, or I missed a piece of logic that would allow me to solve this a bit quicker, do let me know in the comments, please. And as always, I hope that you enjoyed the puzzle and the video, and I'll see you back for the next one. Bye-bye for now.